Have you ever walked into a negotiation and felt like you just didn't have the right information, like you were going in blind?
It can feel that way sometimes, for
Sure.
sure.
And you just think, if I only knew this one thing, it could make or break the whole thing.
Mhm.
Well, get this. AI might just be that missing piece, like a secret weapon for negotiating.
It really could be. And the great thing about it is, it's not about replacing that human element in negotiations.
Right.
It's more about kind of amplifying it,
Mm.
giving you access to tools and insights that would normally take years and years of experience to develop.
It's really wild, all the things AI can do these days. And that's exactly what we're diving into today.
Mm.
How artificial intelligence is totally changing how we think about and approach negotiation.
Absolutely.
And the really cool part is this isn't just for like high-powered CEOs or anything like that. This is for anyone. So we're pulling from this super interesting Spanish language source, Optimización de las negociaciones con inteligencia artificial. And it basically says that AI can help anyone become a better negotiator.
Exactly. Anyone, anywhere. It's really about, leveling the playing field.
I love that, leveling the playing field. So let's break this down a bit. This source talks about all the different phases of negotiation where AI can have a big impact. And the first one they highlight is preparation.
Right. The prep
And
work.
for prep work, we've all been there, right? You spend hours doing research.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out who you're dealing with, what they want,
No.
what their goals are. But this source suggests AI can become your personal research assistant, analyzing past negotiations and all that, to figure out winning strategies.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
I think it's incredibly powerful. Just imagine, instead of relying on your gut feeling, which we all do, you've got this data-driven approach.
Yeah.
Potentially based on thousands, maybe even millions of past negotiations. And the AI can just pinpoint those patterns, provide insights into, everything from the opening offer to when to make concessions, the timing of it all.
So it's almost like having a roadmap for the whole negotiation.
It really is.
Wow. But it gets even cooler, I think. The source talks about how AI can build a detailed profile of the person you're going to be negotiating with.
Right. So you really understand who you're talking to.
Yeah. So it's not just about past negotiations in general. It's getting to know your counterpart, right?
Yeah. Think of it like you're decoding their negotiation DNA.
Decoding their negotiation DNA. I love that.
The AI can potentially tell you, their past preferences, what kind of strategies they tend to use, even pick up on those little cultural nuances that can make all the difference in the interaction.
Yeah, because sometimes those little things can really trip you up if you don't know, right?
Absolutely.
That is amazing. If I knew all of this beforehand, it would totally change my game plan. It's like having insider information.
It is. But ethically, of course.
Right, of course, ethically. So the source gives this really interesting example of how AI can analyze past interactions to see if someone's, say, more likely to concede after lunch.
It's true. It's like, are they more agreeable when they're hungry? Are they more agreeable when they're full?
Yeah. Or if certain phrases tend to trigger a more defensive response.
Exactly.
Wow, that is some serious intel. But all this prep work, this is just the tip of the iceberg, right? What happens when you're actually in the middle of negotiating?
That's where it gets really interesting, I think. The source describes AI as a real-time negotiation partner. Like having this incredibly smart advisor, whispering in your ear as you go.
Wait, hold on. So you're saying AI is analyzing everything as it's happening?
That's exactly right. Imagine you're across the table from someone, right? And your AI assistant is quietly processing everything. Their words, their tone of voice, even their facial expressions.
That is crazy.
It's like this extra layer of perception, picking up on those subtle cues that we as humans, might miss.
Okay, so walk me through this. How does AI actually analyze facial expressions? I don't get that.
Well, there are some incredibly sophisticated tools out there. Like, for example, there's one called Effectiva.
Okay.
And what it does is it specializes in reading these micro expressions. Those tiny, almost invisible facial movements we make?
Yeah, I've heard of those.
They can reveal a lot about what someone is truly thinking and feeling.
So what, if the AI senses that the other person is getting agitated or starting to shut down, could it send me an alert?
Exactly. It could say, hey, watch out, things are about to go south.
Wow.
But it's not about, manipulating the other person's emotions. It's about creating a more aware and informed playing field for both sides.
Okay, I see. So I can use that information then to change my approach, maybe choose my words a little bit more carefully, or even just say, hey, let's take a break.
Exactly.
That is mind-blowing. It's like having like a sixth sense in the negotiation.
I think it is. It's removing some of the guesswork,
Yeah.
and allowing you to navigate the conversation with a lot more precision and understanding.
That's incredible. Okay, so I've got AI whispering in my ear, giving me all this intel about how the other person's reacting and stuff. But what about the actual, like the content of the negotiation itself? Can AI help with that too?
It really can. And this is where I think AI's ability to think outside the box,
Mm-hmm.
to generate creative solutions really shines.
Okay.
So instead of getting stuck in that back and forth, that can sometimes happen. AI can step in and analyze what both sides need and want.
Right.
And then it can actually suggest proposals that maybe neither person had even considered before.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's not just about like winning at all costs. It's about finding a solution that actually works for everyone involved.
That's right. And that's actually what we call a win-win.
Win-win. Okay.
And this idea of shifting from competition to collaboration, it's a major theme throughout the source material.
It's really fascinating how AI can kind of challenge those old school, adversarial approaches to negotiation. It's almost like it's encouraging us to be more cooperative, more empathetic, maybe?
I think you're right. And, the source specifically mentions this example from the business world
Oh, yeah.
about using AI to help automate like those really complex business contracts.
Oh, tell me about that. I want to hear all about this.
So they highlight this platform called Pactum AI. And you know how traditionally companies would spend weeks, sometimes even months, hammering out all the details of these contracts.
Oh, yeah, it's a nightmare.
Right. But Pactum AI can step in and it can analyze all the needs of both the company and their suppliers
Okay.
and then generate a contract that actually maximizes the value for everyone involved.
Wow. So it's taking the emotion out of it?
In a lot of ways, yeah.
Huh.
The ego, all that back and forth, and just focusing on what's the best outcome for everyone.
That is really impressive.
And what I find so compelling about it is that this win-win mentality that AI can bring, it can be applied to so many different areas of our lives.
It's true. Our listeners are probably already thinking about how they can use this in their own negotiations, right? Big or small.
I don't think so.
Maybe it's asking for a raise or navigating a tricky conversation with a family member. Heck, maybe it's even just deciding what to order for dinner with your friends.
Absolutely. Any situation where you need to find common ground.
Right. It's about seeing AI not as something that replaces human interaction, but as a tool to help us make those interactions maybe a little bit smoother.
Exactly, and more productive. And as we'll see, the role of AI doesn't end when the negotiation is over. There's so much more it can do.
Okay, now you've really got me hooked. So what happens after the negotiation is over? What does AI do then?
Well, that's where AI's ability to analyze and learn from your past performance comes in. Think of it like having a personalized coach, someone who can help you refine your skills over time.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
From AI being like a personal research assistant to a real-time partner during a negotiation. But before we go any further, I think we need to address something that's probably on everyone's minds right now.
Okay, what's that?
The ethical implications of all this. It's all very exciting, but there are also some potential downsides to consider.
Right. Absolutely. And that's a crucial part of this whole conversation.
Oh.
We need to look at both the benefits and the risks. So let's dive into that.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it's kind of like we've talked about how AI can totally change how we get ready for negotiations and how we actually do them. But what about the actual tools?
Yeah.
I mean, are we talking about something, from Star Trek, or are there actual AI platforms out there that people can use right now?
That's a great question. I think that's probably what our listeners are wondering too. Like, give us the details. What are some of these AI-powered tools that people are actually using?
Well, we've already talked about Pactum AI, right?
Yeah.
The one that's doing those business contracts.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Effectiva, which is all about analyzing facial expressions during a negotiation.
Right.
But honestly, there's a whole bunch of AI tools out there.
Yeah.
And they're all emerging, doing all sorts of different things.
So it's not like one size fits all. There are different tools for different needs.
Exactly. Some platforms are using this thing called natural language processing.
Mm.
And they use it to analyze communication patterns, like how people talk to each other.
Oh, wow.
And even predict how someone might respond to something. And even suggest, like, the best way to phrase your next email or even what to say in a conversation.
It's like having a personal speechwriter and a strategist all in one.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. And what's really cool is that this whole field, it's changing so fast.
Yeah.
We can expect to see, even more AI tools coming out, and they're going to be more sophisticated, easier to use, all that.
So it's not like you just learn one set of AI skills and you're good to go.
Right.
You have to keep learning and adapting because things are changing so fast.
Exactly. You got to stay ahead of the curve.
Uh,
And that's where the human element, that's where we come in. Because
Hmm.
AI can give us the data, the suggestions, all of that.
Right.
But it's up to us humans to figure out what it all means, make the decisions,
Yeah.
use our own judgment.
So it's this combination of human intuition and an AI, right? That seems to be the key.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about using both.
Yeah.
But let's get back to our listeners for a minute, because they might be thinking, okay, all this AI stuff sounds interesting, but how is this actually going to affect my everyday life?
Yeah, like how is it going to make a difference for me personally?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is, AI has the potential to change how we negotiate in all parts of our lives,
Mm-hmm.
not just at work, but in our personal lives too.
Give me some concrete examples. How could AI actually change like the way we negotiate in our daily routines?
Okay, well, let's say you're buying a car.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm.
Instead of feeling totally lost and overwhelmed with all the information and all the jargon the salespeople use,
Mm.
you could have an AI assistant helping you out, analyzing market trends, comparing prices at different dealerships, even suggesting like the best way to negotiate based on your needs and your budget.
So you don't end up feeling like you got a bad deal.
Right. Or that you didn't negotiate as well as you could have. It takes a lot of the stress and uncertainty out of it.
That's amazing. And this isn't just for big purchases like cars, right?
No, not at all.
Mhm.
Think about negotiating your salary for a new job, or haggling over the price of something at a flea market,
Okay.
or even resolving conflicts with family members or your roommates.
So it could even help with stuff like deciding who does the dishes or planning a vacation with your friends.
Absolutely. It's about using AI to make communication easier, to find solutions that everyone's happy with.
I love how the source keeps talking about this win-win aspect of AI.
Hmm.
It's not about one person crushing the other. It's about everyone getting a good deal.
Exactly. It's a total change in how we think about negotiation. It's not a zero-sum game anymore. AI can help us see negotiation as an opportunity to collaborate, to build relationships, to create value for everyone.
It's almost like AI is teaching us to be more empathetic and understanding with each other.
I think you're right, but let's be realistic for a second. AI isn't perfect. It has its limitations, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I can't do everything. So what are some of the things that AI just can't quite grasp yet when it comes to negotiation?
Well, one of the biggest challenges for AI is really understanding human emotions. I mean, it can analyze facial expressions and tone of voice, even things like heart rate, but it can't truly understand the complexity of human emotions
Yeah.
or all the subtle things that go on between people.
So there's still that art to negotiation, that gut feeling, that sense of timing that AI just hasn't mastered yet.
Right, exactly. And that's where we humans, that's where our skills and experience are still so important.
So the best negotiators in the future, they're going to be the ones who can combine the power of AI with their own emotional intelligence.
Exactly. Their intuition, their ability to connect with people on a human level.
So it's not AI versus humans. It's more like AI and humans working together. Right?
Absolutely. It's about using the best of both worlds.
I love that. This is all so fascinating. We've talked about how AI can change the way we prepare for negotiations, how it can be like a partner during the negotiation, and how it can help us analyze our performance afterwards. But what I'm really curious about is how is all of this going to change negotiation in the future?
It's a really exciting time to be thinking about these things. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball or anything,
Right.
but I think it's safe to say that AI is going to keep playing a bigger and bigger role in how we negotiate, both at work and in our personal lives.
So what does that future look like? Give us a glimpse into that.
Well, I think we're going to see even more AI tools and platforms popping up in the next few years.
Right.
And they're going to be more sophisticated, more personalized, more integrated into our daily lives.
Yeah.
I can imagine a future where we have AI assistants helping us negotiate everything, from our salaries to, like you said, the price of our
I
groceries.
love that. It's like the future is now.
It really is. But even beyond the tools themselves, I think the biggest change is going to be in how we approach negotiation.
What do you mean by that?
Well, like we've been talking about, traditionally, negotiation has been seen as this battle where one side wins and the other side loses.
Uh-huh.
But AI can change that. It can shift our mindset to be more collaborative, to focus on creating value for everyone involved.
So instead of trying to, like, outsmart the other person, it's about finding common ground and building a relationship where both people feel good about the outcome.
Exactly. It's about moving away from that me versus you mentality and embracing a we approach, where everyone's working together towards a shared goal.
It's like AI is making us better humans.
I think it has that potential, yeah. But let's be real, not everyone's going to be happy about this AI-powered future of negotiation.
Right. There's always going to be some pushback, right?
Of course, change can be scary, especially when it involves technology that we don't fully understand. Some people are going to be resistant, some will be skeptical, and some might even be afraid.
So how do we deal with those concerns? How do we make sure AI is used ethically and responsibly in this area?
Well, I think it starts with having open and honest conversations like the one we're having right now
Yeah.
about the benefits and the risks of AI in negotiation.
So it's about raising awareness, educating ourselves, and making sure that these new technologies are being developed and used in a way that aligns with our values.
Exactly. And it's also about putting safeguards in place, regulations, ethical guidelines, all of that, to make sure AI is used in a way that benefits humanity as a whole.
So it's a team effort. It's not just on the tech people, but also policymakers, ethicists, and everyday people like us.
That's exactly right. It's a shared responsibility. And even though there will definitely be challenges along the way, I'm optimistic. I think we can harness the power of AI to create a more fair, collaborative, and fulfilling future for everyone.
That's a great message. I love that. But before we get too carried away, I want to touch on something we talked about earlier. AI's ability to help us analyze how we did after a negotiation is over. I think this is something a lot of our listeners can relate to.
Yeah, it's like having a coach who can help you debrief and learn from each experience, right?
Exactly. Instead of just walking away and hoping you do better next time, you've got AI breaking down what worked, what didn't, and giving you personalized advice. That's amazing, right?
It really is. It's like getting a personalized debriefing after every negotiation. The source talks about how AI can analyze not just the outcome, but the whole process.
Oh, interesting.
Identifying those little moments that maybe shifted the momentum or those things that led to certain concessions.
So it's taking all that data, all those interactions, and turning them into something we can actually learn from. It's not about beating yourself up over mistakes. It's about getting better.
Exactly. The source even says that this feedback loop, it can be really motivating. You start seeing those small improvements, you get more confident in your abilities, and that can really encourage you to keep learning and pushing yourself to be a better negotiator.
It's like having a personal growth tracker for your negotiation skills. But some people might be a little intimidated by this, right? Having their every move analyzed like that.
I understand that. It's like having a microscope on everything you do.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that this feedback isn't about judgment.
Right.
It's not about criticism. It's about helping you see patterns, understand your strengths and weaknesses, and ultimately become more self-aware.
So you can become a more effective negotiator.
Exactly.
So it's about using AI as a tool for growth.
Exactly. And the amazing thing is, AI is constantly learning and evolving too. The more data you give it, the better its analysis becomes.
Yeah.
So the feedback gets even more personalized and insightful over time.
It's like having a negotiation coach that gets smarter the more you work with them. That's pretty cool.
It is, yeah. And it shows how well humans and artificial intelligence can work together. It's not about one replacing the other. It's about using the strengths of both.
I love that. Embracing this partnership with AI, seeing it as a way to help us become better negotiators in all areas of our lives.
Absolutely. And, something that really stood out to me in the source was how much it emphasized collaboration, not just between humans and AI, but also between humans themselves.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this whole collaborative approach.
Well, like we said, negotiation has traditionally been seen as a win-lose situation.
Right. One person wins, the other loses.
Exactly. But this source is saying that AI can change that. It can help us shift our thinking towards a more collaborative approach where everyone can benefit.
So instead of trying to outmaneuver or outsmart the other person, it's about finding common ground, right? Creating value and building a relationship where both parties feel like they've achieved something good.
Exactly. It's about moving away from that adversarial mindset and embracing a more cooperative one, where everyone's working together toward a shared goal.
It's amazing how AI can push us to be more empathetic and understanding in our interactions with each other.
I think so too. But let's face it, this whole AI-powered collaboration thing, it's not going to sit well with everyone. Some people are going to resist it.
Oh, absolutely. Not everyone's going to be on board with this, right?
Right. Change can be unsettling,
Yeah.
especially when it involves technology that we might not fully grasp. But I think it's important to remember that AI is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
So it all comes down to how we choose to use it.
Precisely. And that means having those open and honest conversations, addressing people's concerns, and ensuring that the development and use of these AI technologies align with our values as a society.
So it's a collective effort. It's about everyone working together, technologists, policymakers, ethicists, and everyday citizens, to shape the future of AI in a way that benefits all of us.
Exactly. And while there will undoubtedly be challenges along the way, I truly believe that the potential benefits of AI in negotiation, in terms of efficiency, fairness, and collaboration, outweigh the risks.
I think that's a message that we can all get behind. But
Mm.
before we wrap things up completely, I want to go back to something that I think will resonate with a lot of our listeners. AI's ability to help us analyze our performance after a negotiation. It's like having a personal coach who can debrief you and help you extract valuable lessons from each experience.
Yeah, it is kind of like having that post-game analysis,
Right.
but for negotiations.
Exactly.
Instead of walking away and just, hoping for the best next time you have AI, kind of breaking it all down for you.
Yeah.
What worked, what didn't work, what
Yeah.
could be improved, and offering tailored advice.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff.
It's like this debriefing session, but personalized just for you.
Right.
And, the source was talking about how AI can look at not just the outcome,
Okay.
but the whole process,
Oh, wow.
and it can help you see those moments that maybe change the direction of the whole thing,
Uh-huh.
or things that led to you making certain concessions.
So it's like taking all that data, all those interactions, and turning it into something useful.
Exactly.
Something we can actually learn from.
Right. And it's not about like dwelling on mistakes or anything.
Right.
It's about learning and becoming a better negotiator over time.
So it's all about growth.
Exactly. Continuous improvement.
I love that. And the source even mentioned that this whole feedback loop can be really motivating
Oh, yeah.
because you can actually see those improvements.
Right.
And you start to feel more confident,
Exactly.
which in turn makes you want to keep learning and keep pushing yourself.
Totally. And the cool thing about AI is that it's learning and growing right alongside you.
Really?
Yeah. The more information you feed it, the better its analysis gets.
Wow.
And that leads to even more personalized feedback over time.
So it's like having a coach that gets smarter the more you work with them.
Exactly. It's pretty amazing.
It is pretty amazing, and it really highlights this whole idea of humans and AI working together.
Right. It's not about replacing each other.
Yeah.
It's about using both to achieve things that we couldn't do on our own.
So it's really about embracing this partnership with AI and seeing it as a way to help us all become better negotiators.
Absolutely, in every part of our lives.
And you know what else really stood out to me in the source was this emphasis on collaboration,
Yeah.
not just between humans and AI, but between humans themselves.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting too.
Tell me more about that. What's this whole collaborative approach all about?
Well, you know how we talked about negotiation being seen as this win-lose game?
Yeah, one person wins, the other loses.
Right. But this source is saying that AI has the power to change that,
Really?
to help us shift our thinking towards a more collaborative approach where everyone can come out ahead.
So instead of trying to outsmart the other person,
Right.
it's about finding things we agree on,
Exactly.
creating value, and building a relationship where everyone feels good about the outcome.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about moving away from that you against me mentality and embracing more of a we're in this together approach.
That's amazing how AI can kind of nudge us towards being more understanding and empathetic in our interactions.
I think so too. But let's be real for a second. Not everyone is going to be thrilled about this whole AI-powered collaboration thing.
Of course, there will always be some people who resist change.
Exactly. Change can be scary, especially when it's about technology that we don't fully understand.
Yeah, I get that.
But at the end of the day, AI is a tool.
Right.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
It all comes down to how we choose to use it.
Exactly. And that means having these open and honest conversations like we are right now,
Yeah.
addressing people's concerns,
Yeah.
and making sure that as we develop these AI technologies, we're doing it in a way that reflects our values as a society.
So it's really up to all of us.
It's a shared responsibility.
Wow. We've covered so much ground today.
We have.
From how AI can change the way we prepare for and actually negotiate, to how it can give us personalized feedback,
Right.
and even how it can change our whole approach to negotiation.
Making it more collaborative and beneficial for everyone.
Exactly. It's been a fascinating journey, and it's clear that AI is already having a huge impact on how we negotiate.
It is, and there's some really exciting developments coming up in the future.
So to wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with this thought. AI isn't here to replace us as negotiators.
Nope.
It's here to help us to enhance our skills and to help us achieve things that we might not have thought were possible before.
And as AI keeps evolving, the best negotiators will be the ones who embrace this technology, who learn to work with it, and who use it to build stronger relationships and create value for everyone involved.
It's a really exciting time to be involved in the world of negotiation, and I encourage all of our listeners to stay curious, to stay engaged, and to stay open to all the possibilities that AI has to offer. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic, so be sure to leave a comment on our podcast platform. Until next time.